That was actually dope.
All right, here we go. 13-1. So this first one's easy because they just give you the formula. Okay, so here's your formula right here. To find a specific term, you just take 2, multiply by n, and subtract 1. So the domain, this is the value of n, and the range, this is the value of s sub n, or the term. So it's totally easy. You just put in a 1. So s sub 1 is equal to 2 times 1 minus 1. Why did I plug in a 1? Because they told me right there that n was 1. Okay, so I didn't mean to scribble that out. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 1 is a 1. Okay, so that's easy. Then I go to n equals 2. So this just s of 2 is equal to 2 times 2 minus 1. That's 4 minus 1, which is a 3. Now n is 3. So this is s sub 3 is 2 times 3 minus 1. That's 6 minus 1, which is 5. S sub 4 is 2 times 4 minus 1. That's 8 minus 1, which is 7. This is S sub 5 is 2 times 5 minus 1. That's 10 minus 1, which is a 9. If they give you an n, then you just leave your n and n. Okay, so super easy. Okay, so same thing, just as easy. They give you the formula. They want to know. One thing I do need you to understand is a sub 1 means the first term. A sub 2 means the second term. So they're just saying find the first 5 terms. Okay, so all you're going to do is take this equation right here, and wherever you see an n, you're going to put in a 1. So everybody go, a sub 1 equals 3 times 1 squared plus 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So that's 3 plus 1, which gives you a 4. You could also just put it in your calculator, but you should write that first line. So this one right here, a sub 2 is 3 times 2 squared plus 1. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. Put it in your calculator if you want to. Next one, a sub 3 is 3 times 3 squared plus 1. 3 squared is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 plus 1 is 28. A sub 4. 3 times 4 squared plus 1. 4 squared is 16. 16 times 3 is 48. Plus 1 is 49. Next one, a sub 5 is 3 times 5 squared plus 1. 5 squared is 25. Times 3 is 75. Plus 1 is 76. Very easy. Okay. Next question, just as easy. Find the first 5 terms. So I want you to write down b sub 1, and then I need you to understand that n is a 1. So just go 2 times 1 plus 1 over 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is a 3. On the bottom, 2 times 1 is a 2. So the first term is 3 over 2. The next one, n is a 2. So it's 2 times 2 plus 1 over 2 times 2. 2 times 2 plus 1 is a 5. 2 times 2 is a 4. So that's a 5 over 4. Third term. That's going to be 2 times 3 plus 1 over 2 times 3. 2 times 3 plus 1 is 7. 2 times 3 is 6. That's it. B sub 4. 2 times 4 plus 1 over 2 times 4. That's 9 over 8. B sub 5 is 2 times 5 plus 1 over 2 times 5. That's 11 over 10. Now, I think since they wanted you to write it as a sequence, we should probably write it like this. 3 halves, comma, 5 fourths, comma, 7 sixths, comma, 9 eighths, comma, 11 tenths. Okay? That's how I think you should probably write that thing, okay? So there's your answer, and we're done. Okay? Easy. All right. Here are some examples of sequences. Today's lesson is just a little maybe weird because I can't really give you a formula to use because it's not necessarily arithmetic or geometric. The next two lessons, 13.2 and 13.3, are easy because I just give you formulas and you just use the formulas. But today is a general one, so, you know, formulas are kind of hard. This is one thing I do need you to know. Look at this first sequence. Up above this, I want you to put n equals 1, and then put n equals 2, and then put n equals 3, and then put n equals 4, and then put n equals 5. So you need to keep in mind that on the first value, n is 1, then n is 2, blah, blah, blah. So then you can kind of use those n's to figure out the formula, okay? So how do I use a value of 1 to get a 1, and then value of 2 to get a 4, and then a value of 3 to get a 9? What am I doing to that value? Just squaring it. So the formula here would be n squared. Okay? Okay, look at the next one. So what am I doing here? Well, look, I'm adding 1, and then I'm adding 2, and then I'm adding, let's go another route. Sorry, I'm trying to erase. There we go. Okay, so let's try this a different way. Let's go n equals 1, and then let's go n equals 2, and then n equals 3, and then n equals 4, and then n equals 5, and then n equals 6. And we can kind of look at those. Actually, it's not any of those. This is kind of why this lesson's a little weird. Like I said, you just have to look at it and try to figure it out. I don't think this lesson's going to be on the final. So this is like a totally chill thing. Does anybody know what those numbers all are? They're all prime. Yep, they're all the prime numbers. Prime meaning they're almost all odd except for the first one. Yeah, and that's what I noticed. And then that led me to prime. Prime means the only thing that goes into it is 1 in itself. Okay? Okay, guys, we have two options. Okay? Be respectful, watch, and learn, or you can watch the video at your house. Okay? Because I'm not going to keep asking people to be quiet so I can teach you. Okay, so look at the next one. I don't know for sure. I haven't taught this lesson for a long time because it's always a recording. I think that this is a sequence that is commonly used and discussed. I think it's called, does anybody know the name? Thank you for saving me. Go ahead, talk about it.
Isn't it where you just do like 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 plus 2 equals 3?
Oh, look how smart you are. See, you guys are so smart. I think this is called Fibonacci sequence. It came to me. It's called the Fibonacci sequence. And look at what she said. You guys are so smart. Look, 1 plus 1 is a 2. 2 plus 1 is a 3. 3 plus 2 is a 5. 5 plus 3 is an 8. Blah, 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 blah. Fibonacci sequence. Don't worry about it. Okay. Find the nth term. Now we need to come up with a formula. This is where it's a little weird. It's a little tough. Okay. So everybody write n equals 1, n equals 2, n equals 3, and n equals 4. Now you have to think about this. Well, the top is always 1, so that's easy, right? The bottom, the first denominator, is 1. Then the next one's a 3. Then the next one's a 9. And the next one's a 27. What do you notice about 3 and 9 and 27? They're all powers of 3, right? So this one, if n is 2, you have a 3, or a 3 to the first. If n is a 3, you have a 9, or a 3 squared. If n is 4, you have a 27, which is 3 cubed. So my formula is 3 to the, can you tell me? N, not n, but n minus 1. Yes. So 2 minus 1 is a 1, 3 the first. 3 minus 1 is a 2. That's 3 squared is 9, etc., etc. Okay? Okay, we need to talk about factorial a little bit. Factorial is easy. It just means you take that number, you go all the way down to a 1, and you multiply them together. It's very simple. So 3 factorial just means 3 times 2 times 1, which gives you 6, and you're done. 5 factorial. means 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Now I want to show you something, okay? Everybody hit 5, and then on your calculator, see your second button? Go right 1 and then down 1. There's a PRB button right there. Then if you go right, there's your exclamation mark. Hit enter, there's your 120. When you multiply that together, you get 120. Okay? So 10 factorial is 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Do you really have to write that down? No. So you're going to go 10 PRB, right, enter, enter, and you get 362,8800, 3,628,800 done. 0 factorial is a 1 by definition. Okay, it has to be the definition, or else many of these things we're doing won't work out. Okay, let's do question E. Now, it's getting a little more complicated here. So look what this means, guys. Look, this means 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Just write that out so I can show you what we're going to do. On the bottom, 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So look what happens. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the top cancels with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the bottom. So then what I really have is 8 times 7 times 6, which is 336, and that's your answer. Now, I don't write that down, okay? Look what I do, and I think we might have to end up doing this at some point. Look at the top. I go 8, write this down for me, okay? 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 factorial. I'm going to write that as 5 factorial because it's just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then on the bottom, you have a 5 factorial. So those cancel. I'm left with 876. Multiply them together, 336. Okay, so it's the same thing. I just don't have to write it all out. Okay, yes?
So do you have to write all of that for right?
I think you should probably write that. Okay? Okay, look at this one. You have 85 times 84 times 83 times 82 factorial over 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 times 82 factorial. So the reason I stopped at 82 factorial, because those will cancel, right? So now everybody go 85 times 84 times 83, hit enter. And then let's divide that by 5 factorial. So go divide 5, PRB, right, enter, enter, and you get 4,938.5, and that's your answer. Yes, honey?
Do you think that this will be on the final factorials?
No, I don't. I do think you need to know how to do it to do 13.5, which I think is going to be on the final. Okay, so it's a lead up kind of thing. Okay, this is going to be on the final. This is my guess that this guy right here is going to be on the final, called a recursive sequence. Okay, so a recursive sequence is a sequence where in order to find this guy right here, this term, I have to know the term before. So it just involves the term before. That's it. Okay. What I really need you to know on a recursive sequence is a sub n minus 1 means the previous term. So I do not think this is difficult at all. But if you don't know that a sub n minus 1 means the previous term, then it is going to be difficult. Okay. All right. So watch. You know that a sub 1 is 2. They want the first 5 terms. So they want to know a sub 2, and then a sub 3, and then a sub 4, and then a sub 5. So everybody look right here. This formula means take 3, multiply it by the previous term, and subtract 2. So it's really easy. To find a sub 2, you write a 3, multiply it by the previous term, which is a 2, and subtract 2. That just means 6 minus 2, which is a 4. Do the next one. Take a 3, multiply it by the previous term. The previous term is not a 2. It's the term right before that, which is a 4 minus 2. That's 12 minus 2, which is a 10. Do the next one. 3 times the previous term, which is a 10, minus 2. That's 30 minus 2, which is a 28. The next one, 3 times the previous term, which is 28, minus 2. So I'm going to go 3 times 28 minus 2, and that gives me 82. Let's write it as a sequence. 2, 4, 10, 28, 82, and we're done. Easy. Okay, right here. Find the first 5 terms. Same thing. First term, second term, third term, fourth term, fifth term. You know the first one's a -3. The deal breaker on this problem is if you don't know that a sub n minus 1 means the previous term. If you know it, it's easy. You just go 2 times the previous term plus 4. That's a -6 plus 4, which is a -2. Next one, 2 times the previous term, which is a -2, plus 4. That's a -4 plus 4, which is a 0. Next one, 2 times the previous term, which is a 0, plus 4. 2 times 0 is a 0. 0 plus 4 is a 4. Next one, 2 times the previous term, which is a 4, plus 4. That's 2 times 4, which is an 8. 8 plus 4 is a 12. So my answers are -3, -2, 0, 4, and 12, and I'm done. I think from this lesson, those 2 problems are the only thing that you have a chance of being on the final. So that's good because those were easy. You know, the rest I'm going to teach you, I think the probability is pretty low. Okay. The way that it was worded on last semester's final, just so you know, they said a sub 1 is 2, a sub n is 3 times n, a sub n minus 1 minus 2, find a sub 4. So it was like find the 4th term. So then the answer would have just been 28. That's it. Okay. All right. Summation. Keep in mind, I don't think this is going to be on your final. Okay. Summation just means add the numbers together. Sounds like the word sum, and sum means add. Okay. So right here, I want you to write n equals 1. And then I want you to put, actually, you know what? Yeah, go ahead. Put n equals 1 and then put k equals 1. You're not going to have both of them. If it says n, then your formula over here is going to have an n in it. If it says k equals 1, then your formula over there is going to have a k in it. It doesn't matter if you have n or k. But if you put an n here and a k here, then that's a problem. They've got to match. Okay? Basically, here's what it is. The bottom is where you start. The top is where you end. And the center is the formula. Okay? Let's do this. Evaluate the following sums. So they're saying let n be 2, then let n be 3, then let n be 4, then let n be 5 and stop, and then add them together. So it's super easy. First you start with n is 2. That's 2 squared. Then you add that to the next one, which is n equals 3, so that's 3 squared. Then n is 4. That's 4 squared. Then n is 5. That's 5 squared. Just grab your calculator. And that just means 4 plus 9 plus 16 plus 25, which gives me 54, and I'm done. That's it. This one right here, I'm going to add 3 terms together. First k is a 1. Do you see how it says k and then a k? So first k is a 1, then k is a 2, then k is a 3. So this is just 2 times 1 squared plus 1. That's the first one. You're going to add it to now k being 2. So that would be 2 times 2 squared plus 1. Then you're going to add that to k being 3, and then you're going to stop. So that's 2 times 3 squared plus 1. Let's just put it in our calculator. I can see that that's going to be 2 plus 1 plus 9. I'm kind of do this in my head. I believe you get 31. That's it. Okay, C. Start with k equals 3. Look right here for a second, just so you can understand. If this is a k, this would never say n. They both say n's or they both say k's. Doesn't matter which one. Okay, yes, sir?
Would we ever get like a trick question that would be different like that, do you think?
I don't think it's going to be on there. I've never seen any summations on there. So no, because you couldn't do it. If k is 1 and they give you a formula with n, can't do it, right? So no, I don't think so. Okay, so start with k is 3. So that's 3 factorial. Then go to 4, 4 factorial. Then go to 5, 5 factorial. Then go to 6, 6 factorial. 6 is where you stop. So everybody just go 3, PRB, right, enter, plus 4, PRB, right, enter, plus 5, PRB, right, enter, plus 6, PRB, right, enter, and you get 870, and you're done. Isn't this lesson easy? Everybody? Yeah. It's a nice little break, right? Okay, here's D. D has we have a problem with D, though. It's weird. Someone tell me why it's weird. Where do you end? I don't know where you end, right? What's n? It's okay. It's okay. Look what you're going to do. Let k be a 1. That's 1 over 1. Let k be a 2. 1 over 2. Let k be a 3. 1 over 3. Go out for a minute. Let k be 4. 1 over 4. Then you're going to go plus blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to put a plus, and then you're going to put the last term. The very last term is going to be 1 over, tell me, 1 over n. That's all you have to do. And we're not going to add those together. That's your setup, basically. Okay? All right. Question E. This one's kind of weird because n is 1, but my formula doesn't even have an n in it. So if n is 1, what's my formula equal to? Somebody tell me. It's just 4. So there's n is 1. There's n is 2. There's n is 3. There's n is 4. Add those together, 16, done. Okay? All right. I'm going to skip that. Summation of constant. This is not easy. Again, I don't think you're ever going to see it. The reason it's not easy is because I'm not giving you a formula. There's no formula. These are all just very general sequences. You're trying to figure out what in the world's happening. Okay? Remember that you're going to get formulas on the next two. So the next two are going to be easier than this one. Okay? On 7a, I want you to write n equals 1, and then n equals 2, and then n equals 3, and then dot, 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 and then n equals, I don't know. Okay? So they want a summation. So make your summation symbol. You're going to start with n equals 1. Can someone tell me, well, let's go the other way. Let's look at the formula. If n is a 1, this one's easy. You get 1 squared. If n is a 2, you get 2 squared. If n is a 3, you get 3 squared. Someone tell me my formula that I'm going to put over here on the right in terms of n. What do I put? N squared. That's easy. So if I have 1 squared and then 2 squared and then there's 3 squared and then the last one is 9, what number am I going to put up here for where I end? 9. That's it. Like literally that's your answer. Okay? The next one is tougher. Bless you. If I could say there was a 0 chance of this being on your final, I would say 0. So that's how stressed you should be about this. Okay? Okay, here we go with our summation. So go summation. We're always going to start with 1. Okay? N equals 1. So right here, I want you to write n equals 1, n equals 2, n equals 3, n equals 4, n equals 5, and n equals 6. So I know I start at a 1 and I end at a 6. Okay? Now I just have to come up with my formula. So let's talk about the signs first. if the signs alternate, then to get those signs to alternate, you have two options, okay? Here's one option, a -1 to the nth power. The second option is a -1 to the n plus 1 power. Those are your only two options. So all you have to do is figure out which one it is, okay? So everybody watch. Right here where n is a 1, I know I want a negative. So if I'm dealing with just that term, and I put a 1 right here for n, I'd have a -1 to the first, which gives me a negative. So that's it. So I'm going to write right here, negative first. Look at the next formula, and this will help make this connect. If n was a 1, which it is, the first term n is a 1, then I would have 1 plus 1 is a 2, and a -1 squared is a positive. But my first sign is not supposed to be positive, it's supposed to be negative. So that is not it. So I'm going to say right here, if it's a positive first, then that's your formula. But if it's a negative first, then you use the first formula. Who says I understood that? Raise your hand, let me see. Okay, great. So this is a -1 to the n. So now my signs are going to alternate. So my signs are totally good. Now I just have to deal with the numbers. So look, if n is 1, I get a 1. If n is 2, I get an 8. If n is 3, I get a 27. 4 is a 64. 5 is a 125. 6 is a 216. This moment right here is why this lesson is kind of tough. I don't give you a formula. You have to think about it and say, what am I doing to a 2 to get an 8? Same thing to a 3 to get a 27. Same thing to the 4 to get a 64. Okay? What am I doing? Can you tell me? I'm cubing it. 1/3 is 1. 2 to the 3rd is an 8. 3 to the 3rd is 27. So my formula would just be take my n and cube it like that. So there's my formula. This would be a 4-point question, just so you know. I don't think it's going to be on the quiz. And I made up the quiz. Just saying. I don't think it's going to be on the final. Okay? This would be a 4-point question. Point, 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 point. Where do you begin? Where do you end? Make the sign alternate and give me that formula to get the number. Okay? Who says I'm totally good? Raise your hand up high. Okay. This is where I used to end my lesson. Right then. Okay? But then something came up. Can't remember what it was. And I put these formulas on here. Do I think it's going to be there? No. But I don't know 100% sure, right? So I'm going to teach you, and I actually put these formulas on your formula sheet for the final exam. So I would memorize these like as my last step in preparing for this final, okay? It would be my last step. I'm going to go slowly, okay? So these are formulas that you're going to use, okay? C right here, that C right there is a constant. It's just some number. So if you have a summation and the only thing you have is right there is a number like a 4 or a 6 or a 2 or whatever, the formula to find the sum is take that number and multiply it by n. Look at this one. If the only formula you have is k, if that's the only thing you have in the formula, then there's the formula on the right-hand side to come up with the sum. If the only thing you have in your formula is that k squared, here's your formula. If the only thing you have is a cubed, then there's your formula. Okay, let me show you. It's really pretty easy. The worst part is memorizing it. See this 3 right here? We're going to pull it out in front. So we're going to go 3 times the summation of k equals 1 to k equals 10 of k. Now look. This right here matches up perfectly with that. So my formula that I'm going to use is that pink stuff right there. But see this 3? I'm just going to write it down. It's just part of it. Just goes with it. So my formula is n times n plus 1 over 2. But what's n? N is that number right there. What's my number? 10. So when I plug it into the pink, I'm going to go 10. 10 plus 1 is 11 divided by 2. That's all I do. So I'm going to go 3 times 10 times 11 divided by 2, and my answer is 165, and I'm done. That's it. Let me do the next one. I'm taking the sum, and those two things are added. So I'm going to split those into two different summations. So look how I write this. I go the summation of k equals 1 to k equals 10 of k to the third, plus the summation of k equals 1 to k equals 10 of 1. So now I look at this guy right here, and the only thing I have in my formula is a k to the third. So it's that. I'm going to use this as my formula. To use that pink formula, I have to know what n is, but I can see that n is a 10. So all I'm going to do is take that pink formula and stick in a 10. So I'm going to go bracket 10, 10 plus 1 is 11, all over 2, close my bracket, and square it. Then I'm going to do the next one. What formula is this one? This one right here in green. It's this guy right here. It's just a constant. That's just a number. So the formula that I have to plug in is my c times my n. What's the c? That's a 1. So I'm going to go plus 1 times my value of n, which is a 10. Then let's just put this in our calculator, okay? So everybody go, parenthesis, well, let's figure out what 10 times 11 is. So everybody go, 10 times 11 is 110. So now I'm going to go parenthesis, 110 divided by 2, close it, x squared, plus 1 times 10 is, I'm just going to put in a 10, hit enter, and my answer is 3,035, and I'm done. Who says I'm with you? Raise your hand, let me see. Okay, good. Tell me what page we're on, would you please? 109, thank you. We're almost done, yay. Okay, question C. I have to split this into 3 summations, okay? So we're going to go the summation of k equals 1 to k equals 24 of k squared. Then I'm going to go minus, because that next sign's a minus, the summation of k equals 1 to k equals 24 of 7k. Then I'm going to put a plus summation of k equals 1 to k equals 24 of 2. So I just split it into 3 summations. Now remember, if there's a number and a variable, then you can take that number right there, that 7, you can take that guy out. Sorry, I'm waiting for my eraser to kick in. I just have to wait for a second. There we go. So I'm going to get rid of that 7. If I can never erase. How about if I scribble? Oh, it ran away. Good. Okay, so I'm going to put my k there. There we go. And the 7 goes there. Okay. Now I'm just going to use the formula. So what formula do I use for this first summation? Well, that formula is the squared formula. Okay. So it's this formula right here. And then I use the right-hand side, whatever my value of n is. Well, my value of n is 24. So use the formula on the right, and your setup is going to be 24. 24 plus 1 is 25. 2 times 24, that's 48, plus 1 is 49. And that's going to be all over 6. Now I do the second summation. So go minus 7. And then this part of the summation, it has just a k. So I look at these formulas, and that's the formula I use. In order to use it, I have to know what n is, and my value of n is 24. So when I plug that into that k formula, it's going to be 24. 24 plus 1 is 25, all over 2. Last one, that's a constant. So that's this formula right here in this upper left corner. So it's just c times n. So that's going to be my c, which is 24, 2 times my n, which is 24, and that's it. Okay, so the first fraction, you can go parenthesis, 24 times 25 times 49, close it off, divided by 6. And then go minus parenthesis, 7 times 24 times 25, close it off, divided by 2. Then go plus 48, hit enter, and I get 2,848, and we're done. Okay, last problem. To see how there's a number and a variable in my formula, pull the number out. So we're going to go 2 times the summation of k equals 1 to k equals 10 of k to the third. That's a k to the third. Just one second. Oh, it is a 5. Yes, it is a 5. Thank you. That's a k to the third. So that's the formula that I'm going to use. Now, I kind of blew it because I wanted you to come up with what was weird about this. So what's weird about this? You don't know. I thought I gave it away. What's weird? We always start at k equals what? 1. And this guy starts at k equals 5. So how am I going to do that? Let me show you. Does anybody have any idea what we could do? You're exactly right. What'd you say? Subtracting is correct, but we're not subtracting 5. Look what we're doing. I'm going to go 2 times the summation of k equals 1 to k equals 10 of k to the third. Well, that gives me 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I don't want 1, 2, 3, and 4. I just want 5 to 10. So now I'm going to subtract out the summation. Which ones do I have to get rid of? If I want it to start at 5, and I just did 1 through 10, everybody tell me what I have to get rid of. 1 through what? 1 through 4. So k equals 1 to k equals 4, there should be a 2 in front of that of k to the third. So let me summarize that. I only want to add 5 to 10. So I took all of them and then subtracted out the 1 through 4. So who says I got you? Let me see up high. Okay, great. Now look at that formula for k to the third. I know my value of n is a 10. So I'm going to go 2 bracket 10. 10 plus 1 is 11 over 2, whole thing squared. Next guy, minus 2. This is the k to the third formula. I know that n is a 4. So it's a 4. 4 minus 1, or 4 plus 1 is a 5, all over 2, whole thing squared. Okay? Now, kind of complicated to put in your calculator. Personally, I would go, what is 10 times 11? That's 110. So I'm going to go 2 parenthesis, 110 divided by 2, close it, x squared, minus 2 parenthesis. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So I'm going to go 10, close it off, x squared, hit enter. My answer is 5,850, and I'm done. Out of that whole thing I just taught you, look right here. I would bet $100. I don't like to lose my money. I never bet because I work way too hard to throw it away. Out of all these questions, $100 I would put down to tell you if anything shows up, it's going to be that. And that's it. Okay, who says that was easy? Let me see. Okay, yay. Now,